Brothers and sisters, today we ask a question that is dividing not only Burkina Faso, but also much of Africa. Is Ibrahim Traoré, the young soldier who defied France and inspired a continent, becoming the very thing he once stood against? Or is he the revolutionary leader Africa has been waiting for? Across Africa, people call him the new Thomas Sankara, a man of courage, discipline, and patriotism. Yet in the streets of Ouagadougou and beyond, whispers grow louder. Some say Traoré does not want to leave power. Some accuse him of silencing the press, tightening his grip, and using the same tools of authoritarianism once used against Africans by foreign-backed rulers. But brothers and sisters, stay with me, because this story is more than about one man. It is about the future of leadership in Africa. And before we dive deep, I must remind you, African voices like this are often hidden by algorithms and silenced by mainstream media. If you do not like, share, and comment, the truth will vanish. That is why Pan-African Storyteller exists, but we cannot survive without your support. Now, let us begin the journey into Burkina Faso, a nation torn between admiration and criticism, between loyalty and fear, between hope and doubt. When Ibrahim Traoré seized power in September 2022, he was only 34 years old, the youngest head of state in the world at the time. He came at a moment of chaos. Burkina Faso was bleeding from terrorist attacks. Villages were being wiped out, thousands displaced, and the people had lost trust in leaders who bowed to foreign powers. While the nation collapsed, Traoré stepped forward as a soldier, but also as a voice, declaring that Burkina Faso must take its destiny into its own hands. In the early days, he won admiration. He expelled French troops, shut down foreign influence, and aligned with Mali and Niger to form the Alliance of Sahel States, a move that symbolized unity and defiance against neocolonialism. For many Africans, this was the Sankara spirit reborn, a leader willing to die for sovereignty. But here is where the story becomes complex. While many celebrated Traoré's defiance, others began to question, what comes after defiance? What comes after speeches? Could he actually deliver stability, jobs, and security? And if not, would he cling to power to protect himself? One journalist in Ouagadougou told me, "We admire him, but we cannot criticize him openly." Some newspapers have been shut down. Others warned not to publish stories against the government. The space for free speech is shrinking. This is the contradiction. A leader hailed as liberator, accused of limiting freedom. Now, brothers and sisters, let us pause. This is not the first time Africa has seen such a story. Think of Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, celebrated as a revolutionary who stood against colonial Rhodesia, but later accused of holding on to power too long, at the cost of his people's freedoms. Think of Kwame Nkrumah, visionary yet criticized for silencing opposition. Even Sankara himself, though admired, faced criticism for being too radical and uncompromising. The line between revolution and repression is very thin. And now, Ibrahim Traoré stands on that line. But let us not judge too quickly. We must also consider the pressures he faces. Burkina Faso is surrounded by insecurity. Terrorist groups, some linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS, control parts of the countryside. Thousands are displaced. Schools and hospitals in rural areas are shut. In such chaos, can a leader afford too much openness? Or does he need control to keep the nation alive? That is the difficult question. Imagine for a moment the voice of a mother in the north of Burkina Faso. She lost her husband to a terrorist ambush. Her children cannot attend school because the classrooms were burned. When she hears Traoré's speeches about sovereignty, she believes in him. She says, "Let him stay as long as he needs, as long as he can protect us." For her, freedom of the press means little if her family cannot eat or survive. Now imagine another voice, a young university student in Ouagadougou. He dreams of a free society where he can criticize leaders without fear. He tells me, We supported Traoré because he gave us hope. But if he refuses to step down when the time comes, he will be no different from the dictators we fought against. For him, the dream is not just sovereignty, but democracy and dignity. Two voices, one country, one leader. This is the tension shaping Burkina Faso today. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you another story. In 1983, when Thomas Sankara took power, he too faced critics who said he was too young, too radical, too controlling. Yet today, he is remembered as a hero who gave dignity back to his people. Could it be that Traoré is walking the same path? Or will history remember him as another leader who started as hope but ended as fear? Some critics in the West call him authoritarian. But we must ask, who defines authoritarianism? Is it the same West that supported leaders like Blaise Compaoré, who ruled Burkina Faso for 27 years while silencing dissent, yet was welcomed in Paris and Washington? Is it the same West that arms dictators when it suits them, then calls revolutionaries tyrants when they refuse Western orders? The hypocrisy is clear, and yet we cannot ignore the truth on the ground. Press censorship is real. Human rights groups have raised alarms. Journalists have gone into exile, and questions remain about whether Traoré will truly allow a transition to democracy, or whether he will, like others before him, argue that the country is not ready and keep power for himself. So, what does this mean for Africa? It means we must have an honest conversation about leadership. Do we want leaders who are strong but never leave? Do we want democracy even if it means weakness and foreign control? Or can we find a balance between sovereignty and freedom? Let us look forward. If Traoré succeeds, if he secures Burkina Faso, strengthens the economy, and steps down gracefully when the time comes, he will be remembered as the man who restored Sankara's dream. If he fails, if he clings to power and silences his people, he will become just another leader in Africa's long story of betrayed hopes. The choice is not only his, it is also for the people of Burkina Faso, and for Africa as a whole, because how we respond, how we support or criticize, will shape not just Burkina Faso, but the entire continent. Brothers and sisters, as you listen to this story, ask yourself, what kind of Africa do you want? Do you want an Africa where leaders stay forever, or an Africa where power belongs to the people? Do you want sovereignty at the cost of freedom, or freedom at the cost of sovereignty? These are not easy questions, but they are questions we must answer. And remember, stories like this are often silenced. The mainstream will not tell you about the contradictions of Ibrahim Traoré. They will either demonize him as a dictator, or ignore the voices of his supporters who see him as a savior. That is why Pan-African Storyteller is here. But without your support, without your voice, this platform will be buried by algorithms. So I ask you now, brothers and sisters, do not let African voices be silenced. Support Pan-African Storyteller. Like this video, share it with your friends, and leave a comment. Tell us, do you think Ibrahim Traoré will step down when the time comes? Or will he hold on to power? Your thoughts matter, because this is not just about one man. It is about Africa's future. And as we close this story, remember this. Leaders rise, leaders fall, but the people remain. The story of Burkina Faso is the story of all Africa, a story of hope, a story of struggle, a story of choices. Let us make the right ones before history repeats itself. This is Pan-African Storyteller, bringing you the stories they do not want you to hear. Stay awake, stay united, and never let our voices be silenced.